Leagueheads, and welcome to The League, exploring the League of Legends lore from A to Z. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm John.
And I'm Mark.
And today we are talking about the Daring Bombardier Corki, who was released September 19th, 2009. Our little old Yorshel.
So old.
Indeed.
So yodel.
I just realized that before recording, we were talking about how we have very little to talk about because Corki has just a bio, but he is our first Yordle. So maybe we should have used this episode to talk about Yordles a bit.
I figured we might.
Maybe. But I didn't look at Bandle City stuff. I forgot.
We should have done Bandle. All right. Well, he's not going to be our first or our only Bandle City, and I feel like a lot of the Yordles are really weak in the lore department. So our next Yordle, we'll talk about it, I guess.
Well, Mark said he read up on it.
Oh, you did?
I did, but I guess I'll spoiler say that they're there wasn't a ton. I feel like they reminded me of. It's funny. There's so many parallels between Corki and Cho'Gath. In addition to having no lore, the region that he's from is also Bandle City doesn't have a ton of lore. I feel like that cinematic that we got is probably the most, like the deepest amount we've gotten about Yordles really. But
and it's
we'll see.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know at what point there was a specific point where Bandle City changed from being just like a random spot on the map to being some sort of like magical place that could only be gotten to through magical means. I don't know specifically what point that was, but at some point that happened.
Yeah. It's weird because it's definitely, I guess, a retcon or it's them, bringing them into the new lore, but it was a lot less severe than what they did with Shurima and stuff like that. So it's harder to, like the Yordles, it's hard to pin down a little bit,
Hey.
I guess they really had to focus their efforts on one location. So when the new lore rollout kind of was launched, it was really about Shurima. So I guess that was kind of the smarter way to do it, because it would have been really overwhelming to like make it, 10 different locations in the new lore. But I wish they would do another lore thing. I feel like it's been a while since we've, gotten a big lore event, right?
I guess.
Well, we are about to get the Ruined King RPG, which I assume is going to be a huge lore event. And they've also, I guess, been with the Legends of Runeterra releases, been doing some lore dumps. But I think the Ruined King is going to kind of be our big thing for this year.
Yeah. So I guess Shadow Isles, which funny enough is also something we haven't gotten to yet. So.
No, I don't know what our first Shadow Isles champion is going to be.
Gosh, and I think Elise.
I'm not sure.
I was going to say he's the first one that I'm thinking of.
Elise is soon, so.
Well, that's good. Anyone in the D's? I don't know. I don't remember who League of Legends champions are. Every time I start trying to think of them,
I know.
My mind goes
they just
blank.
Disappear.
So like I said, Corki just has a bio. Mark, did you happen to get the word count of this compared to Cho'Gath's?
I did.
Because I think it might have been shorter than Cho'Gath's.
Okay, well, I guess we'll say, before I spoil that, what do y'all think? Shorter? So you think shorter, Rebecca. What about you, John? Shorter, longer?
I think it's shorter.
Exactly even? The dark horse?
God.
John's watching YouTube. Hang on.
No, I was trying to find the trailer. I'm going to say it is...
Did it feel shorter or longer?
I'm going to say it's shorter.
Oh,
I'm going to say
interesting.
Just barely shorter.
Interesting. Y'all are both wrong. It's just barely longer.
Fuck!
Yeah, he clocks in
Damn.
But it was
It's
close.
though.
1.05 Cho'Gaths. Fucking 240 words. 246, sorry. So he's a whole 12 words longer.
So I want to say a spoiler for the future. I was poking around a little bit because I finished Corki's lore in 90 seconds, and I found a champion with a shorter word count. Lore.
I think I spoiled myself, and I think I know who you're talking about.
I'm excited.
But I don't know if we want to say it here.
Well, it's going to be a surprise for me because I have no idea. Do you ever think that the only reason that Cho'Gath's lore is so short is because he hasn't ulted yet? That's why it's so small.
So do you want to guess? Do you want to know the champion or the word count?
Is my mic on? Because he hasn't ulted yet.
I know we're using the same microphone.
We'll put that joke in the Cho'Gath episode. We'll re-edit it.
I'll just cut it in.
I would like to know the word, because I think I know which champion, because I think I also found this when I was looking around at Yordles. And I'd like to not spoil John on that, but maybe the word count we can get. And
it's 80 words long.
oh my god, it seemed pretty
80. They gave him like a tagline. Like, I think taglines are even longer.
Yeah. Oh man, well that will be interesting when we get to that champion, whoever
Wild.
they may be.
Oh yeah, whoever that happens to be. Okay.
I'm pumped.
So Mark, do you want to tell us what's in those 200 words of lore?
Those 246 words. Yeah. It's very, very short. The thing, I guess, before I go into this, the thing that's not clear to me, we can talk about it, is how much of this is even canon at this point.
Yeah. First of all, it's in past tense, like in a way that made me think Corki died.
Right? That's going to be the big lore update reveal. Corki's been dead this whole time.
I was like, is Corki dead? He was just in a cinematic. I know he's an old man, but...
Okay. That would actually be an interesting direct... If you put him in the Shadow Isles, if he came back as, a ghost Bombardier Corki, and he could be a nice spot of... he doesn't even know he's dead or he doesn't care, and he could be a nice spot of, like, comedic brightness for that region, because that whole region otherwise is so dour.
Right.
But he's just still
the Shadow
fighting...
Isles are real. They're a real bummer.
Yeah.
I think they
Fucking
could use a
depressing.
breath of fresh air.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess I'll get into it, and I think it should become obvious as we read it why I have questions about whether this shit's canon. So it talks about when Heimerdinger and his Yordle colleagues migrated to Piltover, Corki was amongst them, and they made a bunch of groundbreaking contributions. Already, that's kind of weird. The idea that the Yordles have like gone there, just living in Piltover, and just, I guess because Heimer is, but it's weird with the Yordles because they use glamours and shit. They often pretend to be people. The way this is written, it reads like, oh, the Yordles just, it's like gnomes in D&D or something like that. Oh yeah, it's just their Yordles over there and they do shit. Now Corki got his what is it? The Daring Bombardier, is that his subtitle? Is that what we're calling them?
Yes, that's his subtitle.
Yeah. By test piloting the original design for the Reconnaissance Operations Frontline Copter. Some old league humor. Fucking
Rafflecopter.
Oh my
fucking
god.
Old memes. Dead memes.
I wasn't paying attention when I read this. That's great.
And he made up the backbone of the Bandle City Expeditionary Force, whatever that is. And he was a part of a squadron called the Screaming Yip Snakes, and they soared over Valoran, surveying the landscape, and it also says conducting aerial acrobatics for the benefits of like he's doing like plane shows. I don't fucking know.
He's just doing barrel rolls between fucking wars.
Yeah, no, it talks about him doing several tours of duty. Not clear how that works, right? Like who's at war with who? Thrives on danger. He just loves the smell of napalm in the morning or whatever it is, and he he's also modified his Rafflecopter with a bunch of weapons that some people think aren't even necessarily for their actual effectiveness, but just for show, just because it's he likes showing off or just having big flashy explosions.
This is cool.
Yeah. And it says, okay, so this is the other canon thing. It says, when open hostilities ceased, who knows what that means, where that... who's fighting where, who knows? Corki was forced into retirement, and he tried to make do with stunt flying, so doing just air shows, canyon running, etc., but was never the same without, the heat of battle. And that's it. And this is where, after reading that, you're talking about being in past tense, especially that last bit about him being, like, doing air shows and shit, I bet before I went and looked at it that this is just the old lore and they just chopped off the end, and the end was, and then he went into the League of Legends.
Oh my god, you're freaking right.
I am right, because I went and looked it up and it was like, yeah.
Oh my god.
Because that's exactly what would happen. I think that's why the writing on this feels so weird, is because this whole like depiction of Corki as like a champions as celebrity was a big thing with the League. The Clash of Fates lore, as I'm calling it. I don't And that's why this reads so weird. That like, oh, he retired and he's trying to do air shows, and that's just so fucking bizarre.
So now he's on Summoner's Rift murdering people because it gives him the thrill.
Yeah. And I think,
the only thing that gets him up in the morning.
Yeah, that's Corki's lore.
That is Corki's lore. As we mentioned, it is kind of lore light, so I have prepared some treats for everyone.
Some treats. Ooh.
So we'll start with kind of the standard stuff. We'll go through some cinematics that he's a part of. Now, obviously, there's the most recent one. What's it called again? Don't Mess with the Yordle?
Don't Mess with Yordle.
Don't Mess with Yordles.
AKA the best cinematic
it is
Riot
the best
has released.
Cinematic. Yeah, it's very good. He's kind of a starring role in that. It is a beautiful trailer. Basically, Teemo gets abducted. He goes to rescue him with the help of Tristana and Lulu. They kind of bumble around. Lulu has to save him, and it all ends happy.
It's great.
You should watch it, though.
One thing I'm curious about, this kind of dives into Yordles, but the cinematic reminds me of that. So, are Yordles like mysterious things people don't know if they exist or not? But except maybe some people are aware of them, because in the cinematic, Graves and who else is there?
Twisted Fate.
TF.
Twisted Fate. Graves wants to capture the Yordles to sell them. Is that it?
There's kind of a constant bounty on Yordles. They're worth a lot of money as bounties.
Oh, for what reason?
Magical beings is my guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
kind of like I don't know, they want to prove they exist or something like that.
And there are probably also people that would pay good money just for one for magical
pet,
beings.
yeah.
Some might pay good money just to kill magical beings. I'm looking at you, Vane. And
Shit.
things like that.
Okay, interesting. Because I did like how, we're told that they go in disguise, so I assume, and Bandle City seems like you can only get there by magical means, so I assume that people don't know about Yordles. But TF knew what Yordles were. Twisted Fate was like, yeah, don't fuck with Yordles. Leave them be.
Not worth the trouble.
Not worth the trouble.
Yeah. I
Anyway.
think it's...
Continue.
I think to that point, it's kind of the case that they sit as quasi myth, quasi legend, where some people like TF, Graves probably no, and I guess in part of Bilgewater, they're like, oh yeah, Yordles exist. There's bounties on them, and then other places they're probably just rumored, right? And you got places like
Yeah, that's what I was
Ionia
thinking.
and Kennen, where they know that Yordles exist because he's just there,
Oh, true. Yeah. Kind of just hanging out.
just chilling.
It reminds me of animals like giraffes and things like that in olden days, when someone who wasn't from an area that had giraffes would see one, and that's how the myths of a lot of chimera type creatures came about, because they're oh, it's got the legs of a deer and the body of a leopard and the head of a snake.
Huh.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a neat take on them, actually.
So he is also in, and this isn't necessarily a cinematic, it's more of a skins trailer, but man, was it delightful. So the Corki is in a Cats vs. Dogs skin trailer, and the whole trailer is kind of in the theme of an actual dog show, and it's very good. It's
so cute.
Corki and Fizz competing as the dogs against the cats, Yorick and Rengar. Yorick in a cat costume here, which the announcers also call out. It's very good. And the last cinematic, which is, again, he's not featured in, it's just kind of a little Easter egg in the cinematic, because Giants has Easter eggs for everyone. He is in the Giants cinematic, and man, folks, this one was a tough one to find, because I had heard that he was in it. They don't give timestamps or anything like that, so you kind of had to comb through, and when they say he's in it, what they mean is that there is a sticker on the railing in one of the scenes of Corki with giant legs.
Oh my gosh. Do you have a timestamp for
With
it?
giant legs?
I don't think I wrote it down, but which So the picture doesn't match exactly, but this is almost assuredly a reference to the Crazy Boris video,
That's what I was...
Corki Uncoptered.
That's what I was wondering when you said giant legs. I was like, does he mean that Crazy Boris video?
I definitely have seen that, but it's not coming to me. He did Can't Kill You in the Zillion, though, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
That one stuck with me more than anything else.
Yeah, this was one where Corki's copter gets shot down, and then he just stands up, and he's like 10 feet tall.
Okay, I remember that now. It's coming back to me.
So they have a sticker of that in one of the scenes where Echo's rapping.
That's a hell of a catch. God damn.
It was a tough one.
Frame by frame
now,
analysis.
in terms of... Yeah, it really was. Actually, another kind of reference in there, because he's part of this universe, is there was one of the stores that's in the opening scene of that music video is Piltover Customs, which is Heimerdinger's, custom store, but Corki is part of that universe, and he has his plane altered there. So there you go. Now we have a few alternate universes. Obviously, we talked about the Cats vs. Dogs one. It is set in a world where cats and dogs reign, and they just battle against each other. That's kind of Jared Rosen's lore blurb for that universe. And Corki's is Corgi Corki, a dog trainer with some impractical ideas about canine aerodynamics. Corki has entered the world's foremost pet show with a flight-enabled Pembroke Welsh Corgi. Why has he done this? What does he hope to gain? Is he really a Yordle, or just a very small man? These are all important questions. He is also part of the arcade universe. His little lore blurb in that one. The fearless protagonist of a 1980s top-down shooter, Corki resists Vagar's battle bosses the same way he resists being shot down by thousands of glowing bullets. Move fast and shoot everything before it shoots him. Next up, we have Lunar Revel, which Dragonwing Corki's a part of. And the Lunar Wing one is set around the mythos. It's set around the mythos and festivals of Ionia's Lunar Revel, and also has like real-world Asian Lunar New Year components. So this one's blurb is, Corki's pit crew made sure to outfit him with a special ship for Lunar Revel, emblazoned with the visage of a dragon to scare off evil spirits. It has been further modified to spray bullets and fire explosives, presumably also to scare off evil spirits.
So, if memory serves me right, was this one of the first skins that had, like, really different, like, attack graphics and stuff?
It was one of the first. I don't know if it was, like, the first, but it was definitely the whole, like, fireworks when he was doing his Gatling gun, and, like, the when he ults was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. I think there was like that, and like Lion Dance Kog'Maw was a big one for this event, and that's one that I remember having that going on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those are pretty cool.
They're still good. Yeah, they still hold up. I mean, it's no toboggan, Corki.
I still use the Dragonwing every now. Oh man, so I've got fun facts about that one too. But and then the last one is the Piltover Customs one that we talked about. Hot Rod Corki. Your plane's sheeting was busted, so we replaced it with a bullet-resistant alloy and 4-cylinder external mounted coal engine. Plus, we painted flames on the front. No extra charge. And if we remember, Blitzcrank did get charged extra for his flames.
Why don't they like Blitzcrank?
Who knows?
Wow, rude.
I think we decided it was just Yordle favoritism, right? Because
That's true.
Jaime.
That's true. The donger.
The dong.
The dong. All right, now I've got 4 fun facts. Okay. Like you mentioned, the ice toboggy. The ice toboggy.
I like ice toboggy.
We'll stick with ice toboggy. The ice toboggan Corki skin was released in 2010 for the Winter Games in Vancouver. It was released the same time as Mighty Jax, Curling Vagar, Vancouver Amumu, Whistler Village Twitch, Team Spirit Anivia, Festival Cassidon, and Union Jack Fiddlesticks. All of which almost all of which at least, notorious for being some of their champions' respective worst skins.
They're so terrible.
Weren't they also, gosh, wasn't Ice Toboggan 1820? I thought some of them were 1820 priced.
I believe it.
Oh, man.
Along with that event, for the record, we also released special runes, which is something that we occasionally used to do for some events and some special promotions too. So this one was released with Mark of the Combatant, Lesser Mark of Alpine Alacrity, Seal of the Extreme, which for the record gave 2.5% dodge, because that's the thing that runes used to have. Lesser Seal of the Medalist, Glyph of the Soaring Slalom, and lesser glyph of the Challenger.
Oh man! So what
did bonus dodge do?
You would just equip Quints, and it would improve your dodge percentage. So you could just get like a base 10% dodge chance. So anytime someone auto attacked you, you just have like a 10% chance to not get hit.
What?
Yeah. Jax used to be built entirely around
it was
dodge.
Feel bad gameplay. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Man. So were the stats...
I really wasn't playing that, I don't think.
That's probably for the best. That's probably for the fun. That's what Ninja Tabby used to do. It used to give you, not that those exist anymore, but
yeah, dodge chance.
Oh my god.
Now, were those runes, were the stats the same, and it was just like the little symbol in them, and the names were different?
Yeah.
Like collectibles?
Yeah, exactly.
Gosh,
yeah,
I think
they were
I
just
remember.
Collectibles.
Did they? I feel like I used to have some, not of those, but ones for like, gosh, what do they call Snowdown? I think didn't they do a set of Snowdown ones at some point? I think I used to have some of those.
They did Snowdown. They did one for some sort of Sugar Rush event. We had a bunch of like sugar themed.
Weird.
Ones. We also did one as a promotion with Alienware. We had special exclusive Alienware runes.
Dope.
Yeah, it was good times. Second fun fact. So one of Corki's other skins is Fanatic Corki. So we do special skins whenever a world championship team, wins the world finals. They'll kind of each player on the team will get a skin for either a champion that they're known for, famous for, or that they really like.
They played at Worlds a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the one for Corki is from Fnatic, who was the first. They're an EU team who was the first ever world champions. Which take that with a grain of salt because it was just Europe and North America competing that year. Interestingly enough, while they were the first world champions, that was not the first line of world champion skins, because we did not actually start making champion skins for worlds until season 2 when Taipei Assassins won the world championship. And then we went back and gave Fnatic some. Another fun fact, our old roommate was one of the ones that worked on that Taipei skin line, Anton.
We've had a lot of random rioter roommates because when you live in Los Angeles, you often just rotate roommates out. And when we needed a new roommate, John, who worked at Riot at the time, would just send an email, be like, "Who needs a room?"
Yeah, who needs a room? It's very easy to find roommates at Riot.
Yeah.
Third fun fact for
I was gonna
Corki.
say, we got 4.
Corki's I know we got 4.
Oh, I only see 3.
I only wrote 3. This last one was kind of a last minute addition.
Oh, it's in your head.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
Whoa. Corki's quotes use NATO phonetic slang.
What is that?
So it's kind of what pilots use, or what I think just what Army uses in general.
Okay.
So Sierra Whiskey Tango
Sure.
to. So through the use of that, he calls people weak dicks.
Yeah.
Through his use of "you're
What?
nothing but a whiskey delta."
How do you know that means weak dicks?
Urban Dictionary, that shit.
Oh.
He also calls a situation a clusterfuck through his "it's a Charlie Foxtrot."
I'm going to need a better Corki impression to really get that.
It's a Charlie Foxtrot!
I
That's
regret
pretty good.
asking. Just based on your audio lines in there, you definitely blew out the...
Yeah, enjoy editing those clips. And he uses it to just lol with a Lima Oscar Lima.
Well, that was pretty good, actually.
Yeah, that was real good.
final fun fact. Corki can also be found in a mini game that was released for one of the arcade events called Blitzcrank's Poro Roundup. There were additional characters that you could play through other than Blitzcrank once you kind of beat the game as Blitzcrank, including Nautilus. If you beat the game with Nautilus, it unlocks Corki using his Earth Rider skin, which, as I was also looking up alternate universes, I was curious whether Earth itself counted as kind of like an alternate universe. But I think Earth should count as a champion, and we should do an episode to Earth because
I like that.
He has as much lore as he's got more lore than Corki technically. So
Earth does have more lore than Corki, and I think both of you have a little bit more insight on the behind the scenes of Earth because you worked at Riot at the time. And we went to the event where they had pros play Earth mode. When Earth mode was very first created, they kicked it off with a professional setting game in like the LCS studios, and we were in the audience for that. I still have my Earth shirt, and they gave away Earth spatulas as well. Still have that. Use it like a regular spatula.
Is that the one where everyone dressed
very good?
Everyone dressed to the nines. Everyone was done up all fancy, or am I thinking of a different Earth event?
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh, that was definitely one of the April Fools, because Earth is pretty synonymous with April Fools. Like every April Fools, there's something Earth related, and they definitely did dress up for one of the events. I think the first ever Earth was the one that was preceded by the who is it, Crepo and someone else in the server room.
Then that is what I'm thinking of, because it was supposed to be Nerf,
on the servers.
Wasn't that it? It was like Nerf, and then they fight. Oh, remember they the fucking ham on the server, man. Oh god, scumbag Crepo.
I don't remember this.
Oh yeah, they like went into the server room and just threw like literal slices of ham, and that's what caused Earth mode to turn into Earth, because everyone's just going ham now.
Yeah, we should watch that as a part of the Earth episode. It's a fun show match.
Oh yeah,
he has a champion judgment and everything, so he's
oh my
in there.
God, that's awesome.
To go along with the, because this has just got Welcome to Planet Earth stuck in my head, which is, to this date, one of my favorite songs that Riot has ever done. But I listened to the Cats vs. Dogs login music today, and it's so fucking good. I highly recommend listening to it.
Can we play a little snippet?
It's
pretty
so
fucking good.
The fucking meows. I was wheezing. Meow, meow, meow. John's really far into this glass of mead now. All right. So how are we feeling about Corki in general? I feel like when I was reading his lore, in the brief time that I had to reflect on it as I was reading it, I was thinking like, okay, maybe Corki is just a really small piece in this universe. He's not like one of the main players, which I can get down with if they want to do that with champions, but I still would like I don't know, some kind of lore, no matter how short, that actually feels like some care went into it, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Corki makes sense. Give him a bio, give him a flavor story. That's all we ever really need of Corki, right? He doesn't need to be involved in much.
He doesn't need to be
to tie into like everyone else's stories or anything.
Fighting in a war, or fighting for some kind of throne, or trying to get revenge for a loved one. He's just vibing in Bandle City, but like, give me some insight on that.
Yeah, I'd be excited for when if they kind of expand out like the Bandle City lore for like all the champions there. I'd be pretty excited for that.
Yeah.
See what Corki's role in all of that is.
I was going to say, frankly, I think what we saw in the cinematic is, that's the Corki lore right there, right? This shit is going to get wiped
that's
whenever
exactly
they touch him.
it.
None of this crap's going to persist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It seemed like Tristana was kind of trying to be the leader there a little bit. And while she trusted Corki and asked for his help, she kind of saw him as like a bit of a, crazy old man in a lot of ways, which that's a fun dynamic.
Yeah.
I don't think she did.
She didn't? Oh, what did she?
No, Corki asked to help, and then she told him to go somewhere completely away from where she was going.
Right. Okay. Let's start that over. No. Yeah, so he wasn't even supposed to show up. He just kind of ended up showing up after Tristana got herself in trouble. Yeah. Just Tristana doesn't seem to like the Yordles that she's around. She didn't want Lulu involved either.
She's like, I don't know what the I know that she and Teemo are kind of like supposedly like elite type scouts, and I don't think any other Yordles are necessarily, so it'd be kind of like if two military people were going on a mission and then they're like friends from back home who love playing Call of Duty were like, can we come too?
Okay.
Like, Jesus Christ, no,
please.
How
dare you compare Lulu to some dude playing Call of Duty?
Okay, so some dude who's playing Dragon Age Inquisition. I don't know.
Lulu, man.
Saved all of them.
Pounding Doritos
Lulu's
and
the
shit.
Best. How dare you? Yeah, Corki's so fun and cute. I love playing him. He's like a joy to play because of his voice acting and all of his quotes. I feel like I get Brom vibes from that, where I just like genuinely like hearing him.
Which says a lot because he's got like 10 quotes.
I know.
And somehow like they're still just charming and not super old.
So charming. I'd love more quotes, but the same voice actor, you'd have to get the same person.
Oh yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Or me. You can get me too, because as you heard, I'm basically the original voice actor.
It's like Corki was in the room with me.
It was uncanny.
All right,
the daring John Deere.
John's pretty drunk, so do we have any other thoughts on Corki?
No, I mean, I totally agree
one of those
with
shorter episodes.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with what you said. Give him more quotes and let him stay in that kind of blowhard, kooky old man Yordle who doesn't quite know what's happening. I think that speaks to how strong of a design he presents, right? Is that even though he's from 2009, right? He was in the original Clash of Fates teaser or whatever.
Oh God,
right?
yeah.
But he's still got a really strong I don't want to say like not literal silhouette, but archetype. People like, I think it's really easy to figure Corki out in a good way, so I would love to see him.
And for what it's worth, also a literal one.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious if
literal silhouette.
Well, I know he's been, because I know they do polls. Don't they do polls about like which champion's going to get a big visual update or kind of rework? And I know he's been on that poll at least once, I want to say. So I think whenever he does finally get a big visual update, I would bet he's going to end up looking like what we saw in that trailer, which I think will be great, right? He still looks like Corki, but just spruced up.
A little polished. Yeah, any more final thoughts?
Do we want to talk about Yordles? We can just push it to the next one, like Lulu or whoever's next. I don't know who's next, actually. I think we can push it. We can push it. The only thing I would mention is that if anyone remembers the concept of Meglings, I know, John, you and I were lolling about that. But speaking of old League lore, it used to be the case that there were Yordles and then there were Meglings. And Yordles were like Teemo, Kennen, I guess Heimer, anyone who's really furry. And Meglings were essentially like Poppy and Tristana, right? Just purple-skinned ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, because we're pretty sure, and I couldn't find anything to 100% confirm it, but yeah, as we started talking about it, I'm pretty sure that Tristana's old name used to be the Megling Gunner and not the Yordle Gunner. Yeah,
and at some point Riot said, well, this makes no sense. Why do we have these two species that are near identical except that, one of them's blue or purple or whatever, one of them's furry? Just make them the same thing, right? So at some point, they did they called it the Yordle Unification Pass was the project name for that.
I didn't know that. That was neat.
Yeah. Every now and then you'll see people joking about the Megling genocide too, about how they went through and killed all the Meglings.
And even the Meglings.
That's it. It's because Corki's so old, so he was around for that. That's the hostilities that he saw.
That's what broke him. He was in charge of the Megling.
Please don't add that, Ryan.
And that's how Megling turned into Kled, or that's how Corki turned into Kled.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
New headcanon.
Yeah, right.
All right, honey. All right. Well, that's Corki. Thank you so much for listening. With wrapping up Corki, we have wrapped up the seas, actually. We're done with the seas.
Yeah. Kind of an inauspicious end to the seas with Corki and Shogath.
I know. We started strong with Caitlyn Camille, and then Cassiopeia was kind of right in the middle. And then they were like, here are two champions we don't fucking care about.
Yeah.
But we're going to get the Bash brothers when we get to the D's, so that'll be fun.
Yeah. Be sure to join us next week for that. We'll be talking about the Hand of Noxus Darius.